In my book, The Electromagnetic Self, I say that the entire body is electric, but the eyes are the most electric. Now, according to mainstream science, the eyes are receivers of electrical signals which are translated into images. But I believe that there's so much more. I believe eyes are not only receivers, they are also senders of electricity. This is why if you stare at someone's neck, right about around here, they're going to feel a tingle on their neck. Or if a man stares at a certain body part of yours, you might feel it as an itch on that body part. Your eyes are electric. This is why two people in love making eye contact causes a buildup of energy or heat, and it can actually be felt as body heat. And people call it being in love, but it's really just being completely immersed in the electricity of the other, thereby building up electricity because there's two electricity sources getting together. And then they kiss each other, and it adds to the electricity and the electric shock. Isn't it beautiful how humans are made? Eyes are electric. This is why you can poke holes through clouds, through delicate clouds, when staring at them. I mean, it sounds so outrageous and crazy and blah, blah, blah to the very narrow-minded, but you can try this for yourself. You pick a day where there's delicate clouds outside. It's the easiest with delicate clouds, but obviously with enough energy, you can also use thicker clouds. You pick a day where there's delicate clouds and you sit or lie down and you start examining the cloud or stare at it. And the areas where you're staring, you'll eventually poke a hole through it and the cloud will dissipate in due time. Even it's best if you have clouds you can compare it to that don't dissipate. So say you have a small cloud over here and a small cloud over here, and this is the one you stare at. This is the one that's going to dissipate, and this one will stay intact. And even so, the mainstream of society, mainstream science will tell you no such ability exists, no such thing exists. You know, I'm a meteorologist and that is not true. Clouds dissipate because of this and this. Well, too bad. This is why our ancestors all had these superstitions about the evil eye, which is to look at something with envy. Okay, some also said with admiration, but I think that's a positive vibe. Evil eye was looking at something with ill intention or with envy, which was supposed to, according to the superstition, cast a bad vibe on the object or person, bringing bad luck. And I think it's not as extreme as the superstitious claim it is, you know, with causing death just by one look. That's a fear-based garbage. But all of these superstitions are founded in some truth, in some slight truth, because if I look at a thing, I'm sending electricity over there, and if that electricity carries a negative thought, a negative charge, it'll have a somewhat negative effect, will it not? That's why I don't look at things in envy. And envy you don't need anyway if you want to be a successful person. Okay? Envy is the opposite of success. If you see success, appreciate it, admire it, praise it, don't envy it. Eyes are electric. This is why old cartoons portray the eyes of hypnotists and mesmerists and superheroes as electric, as having lightning coming out of them. And in the last years, we've had a revival of this kind of thing with all the lightning memes coming out. Eyes are electric. This is why good snipers fixate their target by eye, not just by telescope. That influences the trajectory of the bullet. Okay? No sniper goes only by telescope, at least no good sniper. And every good sniper really knows this, that you first fixate it with the eye, the naked eye, and then with the telescope. And sometimes they go back and forth, eye, telescope, just to get the electricity on the target. Do you follow? This is why what you give attention to, you physically give electricity to. This idea of what you give attention to, you give energy to, is not just some vague metaphor from the self-improvement scene. It's physical. It's real. It's a real beam. And that beam can carry different types of thoughts. You know, you can have desire mixed with attention, and it creates a sort of repelling beam, actually. Do you realize that? People think that desire brings them closer to what they desire, but it's a kind of sticky, it sounds paradoxical, but it's kind of a sticky, repelling vibration. And if you give attention to something with resistance, it creates a kind of attraction beam, a tractor beam, where it brings you closer to the thing that you resist, which is so weird. People think if they resist it, they can get rid of it, and if they desire it, that they can have it. But it's just not so. Okay, the ideal way to have something is to give it attention as if it's already with you, neither desire nor resistance, as if you're already there. To give it attention from the perspective of already having it, which is actually not giving it that much attention anymore. Do you follow? You have interest in it, but since you already have it, you no longer have to desire it. Eyes are electric. This is why when I play tennis, I sometimes use my eyes to pinpoint where I want the ball to land. I don't always do that. Sometimes I do it, okay? I first look at the spot, and then I serve, for example. And it very much increases the likelihood of the ball following the trajectory that I land out a path with the electricity, you see? And the body follows intention and attention. You see how the word intention and attention both contain the word tension. Intention comes from within, and at, tension is putting it at something out there. Intention and attention. Eyes are electric. That's why you'll notice that when you're fresh and awake, just woke up in the morning, the power of your influence may be a little bit higher. Eyes are electric. This is why when you have two guys who are about to fight, physically fight, they often sit there and stare at each other for a while. You often see that in movies, and somebody's playing a harmonica, and both are wearing cowboy hats and sweating. And of course, the first one who loses eye contact or drops it loses, because it's a power game. The power game is to determine who has more energy, because who has more energy is more likely to win? Winning different sports matches is a matter of who has more energy. When two sports teams meet at a similar level, then the determining factor of winning is who has more energy, who has higher energy. And these sports matches are indeed ways to learn to increase energy. And people who watch sports matches do so because they enjoy the level of skill and energy. However, just watching them is not going to do much to increase your own energy. You also want to do it, not just watch it. As with everything in life, don't be a mere spectator, but a participant. Because why? The spectator is sending electricity, attention to the action, and the people conducting the action are receiving the energy, receiving the electricity. That's why you don't only want to be a spectator. And once people realize what all this is about with electricity in the eyes, they're going to wonder what laptops and screens and computers actually are. I'll leave it at that, even though there is so much more to learn and say about this. My name is Fred Dodson. If you enjoyed this presentation, please share it far and wide.